This is my name on it. Peter. How is everybody? What are you guys doing? Just delicious. Iced coffee. Iced coffee. 本当に美味しいですね. What's everybody doing? What's everybody doing? It's Mother's Day, right? Isn't it? It's Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day. Yep. Happy Mother's Day. I got that right. Barge. Happy Mother's Day to all, and my mother too. May she rest in peace. Passed in 21. I know, mine 2012. Appreciate you. Here's to all the moms out there with us and that have passed on. Think about my mom every day. And my dad. What are you guys talking about in the chat here? Did you guys see the video this week for the new Satchi Band track? Good times with Glenn Hughes, of course, Kenny Aronoff, Marco Mendoza, and of course Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, and some other knucklehead. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a really good time doing that. It was so much fun. Most enjoyable video shoot I've ever been a part of. Yep. What else happened this week? Working on videos, but nothing. I don't think I got a demo out this week, but I'm working on things. I'm working on them. That's for sure. I got a lot to make. So lots coming. Some people don't want them released just yet. It's not like I've got one finished, but burping. The fellow was on vacation. He's like, can you wait for a couple weeks to put it out? Because I'm away. And I was like, yeah, I understand. No problem. No problem. And so that'll be coming out soon. Yeah. Great interview last week. Could have been another hour. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I did that in the Netherlands. That guy was super cool. Really nice guy. He's actually like a pretty legit journalist that just loves guitar and stuff. So he's really good at what he does, and came all set up with a nice rig and everything to a venue in the Netherlands when I was there with Classic Rock Show recently. And we did that, I think, kind of like just before sound check. And that was a crazy day, I remember, because I'd left my cell phone charger. It was in the last week of tour, and I'd left my cell phone charger in my hotel room. So I got all the way to the venue, and then I realized that I didn't have it. And it was about a mile or 1.2 or something walk back to the hotel. And I thought, oh, it's so stupid. Like in the last week to, you make it through a 2-month tour and you don't lose anything. I hate leaving things in hotel rooms on tour. Like, oh God, I left my hoodie or my jacket or whatever. But this is one of those instances where we hadn't driven super far. It was just 1.5 miles away or whatever, the venue, but I didn't have a ride back or anything like that. So I thought, let's go. And I, got my jacket on. It was kind of cold that day, I remember. And it was like blustery and kind of like spitting rain a little bit. So the weather wasn't great. So that's why in that video, I look a little like disheveled because I'd been like trekking all the way to the hotel and back. So I trekked all the way to the hotel, which was a nice walk. Actually, it's through it was like there was a field involved and but it was a little muddy. And it was like, all the way back to this hotel. And I'm on my way there and I call the front desk of this hotel and I said, look, and I remembered exactly where I left it. And I'd only been gone an hour, like from the hotel, and I hadn't gone anywhere else, and it's not in my bag. And I knew I went like one of those moments, like 2 hours or an hour after you do something, and you're like, did I forget to da 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 da? And I could picture it where it was. I was like, I know when I left the room, because I do a lot of checking in and checking out of rooms. I know when I left the room that I left the thing there. So I knew exactly. I mean, I was a certain 99% that that's exactly where it was. And I called and said, can you have them check, when they clean the room? And usually when you do that, people are like, oh yeah, we found it. No problem. Right. They were like, no, nobody found anything. And I was like, that's not possible. That's absolutely not possible. It has to be there or they've taken it, which I don't like accusing people of things, but this, I've never been more certain. There would be many times when I'd be like, I guess that's possible that I didn't, it's somewhere else. And I left. This time I was like, that's impossible. It's in my room. I'd left that room and gone to the venue. Nowhere else. It's not in my bag. I remembered where it was. It's not in my jacket. And I thought, oh no, I left my thing plugged into this is getting boring. But anyways, I don't mean to be boring. Anyways, I go back and I get all the way there and they're like, yeah, we don't have it. Sorry. And they just like start helping other people at the front desk. And I'm like, I need to go to the room and I need to see physically and I went to the room and it was not plugged into the thing. And I'm like, look, somebody's taken it. I left this room an hour ago. That's where it was plugged in. I haven't been anywhere else. And I remembered as soon as I got where I was going to look for it. You know, and it was just like, so anyways, it was one of those things where I end up talking to the manager, kind of, you know, getting every now and then, you know, like I'm pretty Canadian. Like that's where I was born. That's where I grew up. That's where but every now and then, like the American in me comes out. If you know what I mean. No disrespect intended, but I am a dual citizen. And every now and then I shift to that part of my personality. And I did get like irate. And I was like, this is not, because she was also being irate and just kind of like not helpful and stuff. And I was like, fine then, straight to Google, 1-star review, gonna tell people steal things. And that's what I did. Got all ornery. Found an electronics store, bought $50 worth of charging stuff that, because, you know, you're over there and then it's like you need adapters and everything else, everything I'd lost. Got everything I needed, went to the venue. There was that guy, sat down and started that interview, which kind of reset me. That was a really probably long and not very interesting story, but that's what I was doing that day. An hour before I was doing that interview was solving my cell phone. It's just, I don't know if you guys travel a lot, but if you do, it's like, if you make it all the way through a tour and you don't lose anything, that's great. But if you get to the last week and you lose something, it's super annoying because you've done so good the whole trip without misplacing things, you know. It's one of my pet peeves. One thing I'll recommend to anybody that gets into touring or traveling or stuff like that is, you know, checklists is a good thing when you're leaving a hotel room and stuff. But also when you get in the habit of like, you know, you've taken your passport, let's say, and when you checked into a hotel room, you needed it to go, you know, at the front desk of the hotel, you get in your room, it's still in your hand and you put it down on the counter, let's say. And then you start doing things. You want to go out for lunch, you want to whatever. That thing's sitting on the counter and you're looking at it. Don't leave it on the counter. Put it back in its place in your bag right then when you're looking at it, where it's supposed to go, especially passports, you know. My glasses, I'm really good about this too, like my eyeglass, because I can't see for, you know, and I need them and stuff. So when they're, you know, I'm reading at night or something, I've left them on the side of the bed. First thing I do when I get up in the morning and I see them there on the bed is I will take them and, you know, before I do anything else, I'm like, put those away now in my bag. You know, when I see things and I'm like, those are vitals that don't wait until you're the 10 minutes before bus call when you're supposed to be downstairs and you're like a little rushed packing your bag and stuff, because those are the things that you'll end up leaving. You're like, oh, I got my shirt. Oh yeah. Once around the room, I almost got it all. Okay, I got it all. Yeah, I'm good. And then you jet out the door in that state of mind where that passport or those glasses or whatever can get easily overlooked. So just do those things always when you see them, put them in their place. I guess that's it. Put everything in its place at all times when it when you're aware of it and relaxed, you know. That makes sense. So the video with Vi, Satch, and Michael Anthony was not the bass player. That was actually Marco Mendoza. But Michael Anthony is, of course, playing with Joe with Tammy Hagar right now. But Marco Mendoza is a bass player in the Satchi Band. And drummer is Kenny Aronoff. Yep. Where was the interview posted? You know, I gotta remember the fella's YouTube here. Let me just, I'll find the link for you right now and then I can post it, I think. And I'll put it up. Let me just find that. There it is right there. It actually, 60 Scales and the Truth is the YouTube channel. And it's number 33, Pete Thorn. He chose Eddie Van Halen was my spiritual godfather for the. Just 1 second, it's like playing, so I got to stop that. I told him that story. Yeah, I said I used to call Eddie Van Halen my spiritual guitar godfather. Actually, was what I said, and he used that as the tagline for the video. But anyway, here's the video. So if anybody wants to watch it, just put it in the chat. That's from My Knees Hurt. Okay, for those of you in North America, happy Mother's Day, says BC Rich. For those of us in the UK, How do you say that guy's name? Guy Fawkes Day, Boxing Day? Was Boxing Day or any of those other November we don't observe? Anyway, yeah, Boxing Day. Boxing Day, I grew up with in Canada too. I mean, everywhere in the Commonwealth, we do Boxing Day, which is just basically the day that you go and exchange your Christmas presents. Day after Christmas. Okay, let's see here. Who else we got in the house? Trying to look down through the chat. Lots of people saying hi to one another. Richard says today, remembering his grandmother who passed away recently at 100 years old. That's amazing. She got to 100. My grandmother passed away a month shy of 100. She didn't quite get there. So that's amazing. Really, really great. Thinking of your grandma as well. Yeah. Hey, speaking of coffee, since we talk about coffee on the show a lot, has anybody tried this? It's like, I don't know if it's freeze dried or frozen or what, but they're like these pods, and it's concentrated coffee, and you keep them in the freezer, and they've got it from a lot of like, I think like Klatch and like a lot of really like high end coffee you can get from this company. They've made this coffee and then packaged it in these little pods, and then you simply mix it, like, so boil water or whatever, and then almost like instant coffee, but it's like supposed to be absolutely incredible, like indistinguishable from just a really incredible fresh cup of coffee. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I can find out and I'll get more info. I'm sure if we Google search frozen Klatch coffee. Why don't I just do that right now? Let's find the name of this stuff. If you want a good cup of coffee instantaneously and you don't have an espresso machine, frozen. I'm gonna find this. I've never heard of it, and never in a million years would I have thought it works, but flash frozen coffee, yeah, Klatch box. This is from a company called Cometeer, I think, Cometeer. And check it out. You can see all the different coffee that you can order from all these different super high-end, like Equator and Klatch and all these different high-end roasters here. I'm going to put their website in the chat. And then I'm going to get some. I can vouch for it because Britt said it's really good, and she's a big coffee snob. So she's been trying it and just saying how unbelievable it is. But anyway, I just posted the website in the chat there if you want to give it a try. I need to order some. It looks super easy and super good. What other IRs do I recommend for surreactive load for rock or punk sounds? I mean, it's basically 412 Greenback and V30, is what I would go for. That's kind of like, the sort of one-stop shop, I would say, is either Greenbacks or V30s. So either Celestion or York. Ownhammer, really like the Ownhammer GNR cabinet. I think it's a Greenback loaded cabinet. But the York, IRs that are, I think like the Friedman York IR package has Greenbacks V30s in one, and then you can get blended Greenback and V30 sounds. And, between what they've got there, you should be able to, find something you like, I would think. Yeah. Okay, what else? Let's see. Had I met Glenn before? Glenn Hughes. I hadn't actually, before this project. But his guitar player, Soren, who's terrific, lives in Denmark, had spoken with Glenn about me, and so the first thing he said was, "Oh, Soren speaks so highly of you." And I said, "Oh, I love Soren. He's great. He's a great guitar player, and terrific playing with Glenn." So we had that mutual connection, and Glenn was just the loveliest guy, the nicest person, like so cool, and sings great, like still 74 years old, just he's just such a I just instantly really liked him, down to earth and kind of proper as well, English guy, But yeah, it was really great to meet him. Really, really sweet dude. You can see why he's done, had a long and prosperous, great career, because he's so cool, just such a nice person, and obviously works super hard and has it together, So yeah, it was really really pleasure and an honor to do something with him like this. So okay, what else we got here? Arthur says, well, you weren't expecting to see Glenn Hughes on vocals. Yeah, I know, he's great in it, isn't he? I mean, it was so much fun. I love the sentiment of the song. It's a simple lyric, and it's all about kind of what they grew up thinking about as kids. Like I want to basically take it to the wall with the guitar. Which is, I can relate to that. When I was 14 years old, and influenced by them doing that. Going, whoa, that's amazing. That looks like fun. I want to do that. So that's the whole sentiment. It's a simple sentiment, and it's just a fun tune. I love how the bridge in the song opens up. Actually, it's a really neat how it goes through the, because it's basically a 1-4-5, and then all of a sudden when we get to the G, to the F, the C, that whole, we can change the world, part of the song, and then the solo completely opens up and goes somewhere else, And to me, that's kind of that's very Joe Satriani in a way, with the way that he, in his compositions anyway, like when you think about a composition like Such Boogie or something. Oh, by the way, I tried to do this in my song Dirty Town as well, where it's basically like a blues or blues rock, and then in the center you go somewhere else where it gets progressive and gets away from that, and then it circles back around and comes back to the rock for home base. So that's what happens in that song. As soon as you hit the bridge, it's like, oh, it's really going somewhere, And I love that about Joe. Yeah, that was even the case actually in the new the Thank You track that he did with Sammy and Michael Anthony and Kenny, where it takes a turn, and goes, somewhere else. So I always love that. I grew up enjoying that, and you hear that in my songs, and it's directly attributable to hearing that in, folks like Joe and Steve. I think where sure they're based in rock and blues and stuff, but then they've trying to push, and they appreciate that, and then they appreciate pushing forward too with some different kind of stuff. So it's interesting. I think for anyone near the Baltimore area, says BC Rich, on Thursday the 22nd, there's a clinic with George Lynch for free at Beals Music. That's awesome. In Catonsville. George is a great guy, and he's another influence and legend, for sure. Just awesome. So thanks for posting about that. What guitar posts, little pots do you recommend? Building a guitar from scratch and need advice from good ones. I don't like CTS that's available now. Yeah, I've had a lot of issues with CTS. To be honest, I don't know what we are using in my Sur. They found another source for pots, because I, just like you, don't like CTS, because I was having so many problems with them getting noisy after a month. They'd just be scratchy and it would piss me off to no end, because I'm a big volume control person and I like using compression. So there's nothing like when you're trying to play clean and be sensitive and roll the volume up and down. When you're trying to like play some part that's like atmospheric. So anyways, we had that issue with some CTS. So this is quite a while ago. I was like, we've got to switch pots. We need to find something else. And they found these other pots that they'd been looking for a while, because I guess they were well aware of this issue with CTS and everything. And they found these pots. They're just like, I've got them in all my guitars now, and I haven't had a single issue since then. Nothing. No, not a hint of noise in any of my guitars since they switched. But I can't help you because I don't know what they're. Let me see if I can text here and find out what the brand is, so that I could recommend, and if they're available aftermarket. What is the name? In guitars, the quiet ones. Let me see if I can get an answer back on that. I will say that I haven't had as many problems as well with like the Dunlop super pots or whatever is in my EVH. They seem to work pretty good. Those are Burns, I think. And the Dunlop ones seem to be okay. I've got one of those as well and something. But I'm going to find out the names of the ones that we're using on my guitar if I can here. Richard says I always travel with multiple chargers. I usually have one extra. For whatever reason, I kind of didn't. There's ways I could get through. I can plug in my laptop and then plug my charger into that via USB cable or whatever. I had different ways I could do it, but I didn't want to mess with all that. So I just wanted a charger, So yeah. Let's see. What else? Can't imagine a hotel worker stealing a charging cable. They must have hundreds of them. Yeah, you would think. But there was no other explanation. And believe me, I tried to think of one in this case. And I travel a lot of hotels, and I've never quite felt like that before. Because I was like, well, this is, and I'm all about giving people the benefit of the doubt. I like to think I'm a nice person. And I don't go to accusing people for like losing things. But there was no other. I'd literally walked out of the hotel, with bags. Nothing else happening. Put my bag on the bus. Bus rolled to the venue. I got in the venue and started unpacking when I better plug my phone in and went, I didn't get that charger this morning. And thought, I know exactly where it is, And then I went through all my stuff. And there's absolutely no other explanation. I hadn't been anywhere else. And I remembered leaving it. And I remembered going, you never unplugged that this morning. And then sure enough, I didn't have it. There's nowhere else it could have been. And then it's not like it turned up 2 days later on the bus or something like that. It didn't, it's just, unusual. I agree. I mean, it seems stupid, right? But anyways, housekeeping is who you needed to talk to. They didn't speak English because I was in the Netherlands. So I ended up with the hotel manager who was liaisoning with housekeeping, who swore up and down. I was like, that's not possible. Yeah. And I'll tell you this too. Some of the other reviews for the hotel was pretty nice, but on the surface, but a lot of the other reviews for the hotel were with service issues. When I looked at it, and said service was, unfriendly and the rooms were dirty and like different things. So I was reading, like going, I remember that, that 3.5 stars on like the, where it's like in the shitty reviews are like, we're all service issues. Anyways. What else we got here? Randy says, I have the EV8 Stripe Series, Frankie, like yours, loving it so far. Have you made any mods? I just put a stopper, like a trem stop in my red and white one because I couldn't get it. It's funny. My yellow and black one was as such that I could just, the bridge hits the body and it's cool. Like I didn't need a stopper in it, but the red and white and black one, the bridge was too far back and angled, and I was having an issue with it. I know, the detuner, I couldn't pull it out. The detuner was hitting the body on the red and black and white one when I would set it up to just not float, like Eddie would. So it's like, well, that's not going to work. I need a stopper of some sort. So that's the only thing I did to it. Yeah. Trem stopper thing. What else? Let's see. I have headed out the door from hotels and left my bags in the room. I mean, I've definitely left things. I've gotten much better about it because I've learned that I'm stupid and that I you get older and you realize I don't have the ability to multitask or whatever. And it's like I leave things places. So that's what I'm saying, like why I'll double check things. I've also gotten the habit of packing mostly the night before I leave or taking out as little as possible. So I'm really ready to go in the morning. And certainly that all my important stuff is put away. But a cell phone charger is one of those things that you got to have out because you need to use it, overnight. Make sure you're charged up for the morning. So I just made a mistake. That's all it was. Yeah. Marco Mendoza played with Thin Lizzy at one point. That's true. Yep. Yeah. What else? Do you have the new Dry Bell Module 4 compressor? I thought I did a video for that pedal. I think I did one, man. Let me just double check here. I think I did. Nice compressor, as I remember. Did I do it? I could swear I did. I'm looking down here, not seeing a video from me, but I swear I did. I swear I did. Yeah, an unusually great guitar compressor, I called it. 2 years ago, I put out this video. I don't know, is it different now or something? Or is there a new version? Oh, actually, mine is the first video that pops up if you Google it. So I just realized that. Yeah, nice compressor. I can't remember what it was based on. It wasn't like, it was based on something, and I'm not remembering what. So I'm not gonna speculate, but maybe the orange squeezer. That's it. Based on the orange squeezer, which was a box that you used to, attach right into the guitar jack, right? And yeah. Is that a Friedman Smallbox behind you? No, it's a that's an amp that Dave lent me actually, and I'm just using it as a power amp. Sometimes when I'm getting sounds for tour ready and stuff, what I'll do is I'll just have like he's lent me that to use just as an effect return so that I don't have another big head in here, because I've got PT100s. I've got another one in the other room, but when all I need is just to turn up a little bit, and I just need another half of a tube power amp. He lent me that for that purpose. So that's what it is. It's some sort of shop amp of his that's it's not a model. It probably started life as maybe a JJ or something, and then he kind of modded it and he uses it for other things. So yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's interesting. Marco Mendoza is a killer bassist, not to be confused with Mark the Animal Mendoza from Twisted Sister. I forgot. There's two. That's amazing. I gotta ask Marco about that. Like, how often do you get confused? And aren't you in Twisted Sister? This fella's asking about info on an Electro Harmonics 12 VR8 guitar speaker. He's asked a few times. I don't know anything about that speaker, to be honest. People say your Thornbuckers were based on PF repros from Gil Yaron. Only to the degree that I really liked the pickups in my Yaron, but I would never want to, exactly copy Gil or anything. So I knew what the output was of the pickup, or whatever, the ohms, so it was 8.3 or 8.4. And I knew what magnets were in it, A4. Now, beyond that, the wind and like I've never had the tape off those pickups or anything like that, off the coils. I don't know anything else about what Gil, does. So I just experimented. I said, I think I like a pickup around this strength, and I like these magnets. And let's try our own thing beyond that. So we have a certain wind that we use for Thornbuckers. It's like a slight offset. And that took a little bit of time to kind of get to where it's like, yeah, that sounds perfect right there. So we do that, and they wind them the way they wind them and stuff, and up to about that strength with that particular magnet. So I was influenced by the magnet, and it's close to probably a similar amount of turns, but the offset is probably our own and different and stuff. And maybe the winding pattern, and then there's other things involved, like the exact magnet and the like where we get them from, and the pole pieces, and like all that stuff is all so influenced in essence, but that was about it. Like those pickups, the Gil pickups, have never been out of my guitar. We never took them out and like took them apart or something like that, and I wouldn't want to do that to Gil anyway, because his pickups his own thing. So there's plenty of pickups that are around that spec, bare knuckle mule, similar. but it's going to probably be its own thing enough to, you know, separate it from Gill's pickups or from the Thornbucker original, you know, that kind of thing too. So, yep. Oh, Kurt says you got a Pete Thorn signature a couple days back. Which one did you get? The is it a HSS standard or which one did you get? Tell us. Somebody says they got to see my Nigel Tufnell hair. Man, I swear it's just a shag. It's like Nigel was just influenced by all the dudes from 1973. I was like, I don't look like those guys. It's the haircut that everybody had. Yeah. All right. What else have we got here? Ordered some JJ E83cc for my 7720-204. Prices are nuts. Yeah. Guess why? Although I think that tube. Okay, let me take a look here. JJ E83 cc. That tube. Yeah. Okay, it looks like it's gone up a little bit from where I saw them last, but these were never cheap. These were never $14 a tube or something. They're now listed at $28.95 at Tube Depot. And then you're seeing the JJ. I'm seeing like the ECC 83, the regular JJ. I'm still seeing at Tube Depot for like $18.95, which actually maybe a little more than they used to be. I think everything looks like it's gone up a little bit. So the ECC 83 has gone from maybe $14 or $15 to $18, and then the E83cc has gone from $24 to $28. There you go. You know who to thank. Yep. Yeah. My point though being. Bigger point being the E83cc was never a inexpensive 12AX7. It's been out for a couple of years now, and they were always around 23, 24 bucks. And great tube, that one. I'm not really, as I've often said, the ECC83, the regular 12AX7 from JJ. Never really a fan of that tube. They work. That's about it. They kind of lie there. I can basically hear them in an amp. If I'm playing an amp, and especially if it's an amp I'm familiar with, and it's a, you know, like a builder I'm familiar with, I'm playing it, I'm like, does this tube have, or does this amp have all JJs in it? Like, and I mean the ECC83 when I say that, and they'll be like, yeah, the only one we can get that's not microphonic, you know, and I'll go like, yeah, I can hear it, but it might not be microphonic, but it's just kind of flat sounding. So, but the E83cc, which is kind of the Tesla copy, old school Tesla copy, has a way nicer top end and more open sounding, kind of NOS sounding, you know, vintage tube sounding. It's a frame grid style, high quality, low noise replacement for any 12AX7 type tube. The Euro tubes, they're now $32. Sucks, but and I will say this, for now, it's your best option because you're probably not even going to find Shiguangs, or even though, I mean, we just got back online with Shiguang, right? They've been making tubes and selling them again, and they're great, quiet, low noise. They were $13, $14 a tube. Now you're not going to find them. Don't get me started. Freaking great tube. My favorite kind of, you know, modern 12AX7, those, they're just good, you know, they sound great, especially in high gain stuff. It's just, that's what they're for, you know. I mean, they're terrific. But luckily I have I think I've got 8 or something left here for if I've need spares for anything. I bought some a while ago. What else have we got here? Let's see. Josh says moving in with mother-in-law for 8 to 12 months to help with health. Main rig is FM9 and Fender FR12 FR. Need an ultra quiet way to enjoy playing at home. Best flat, comfortable headphones. I recently broke the ones I was using, the CB ones. So I've mentioned those before, so we won't talk about them because they're not available anymore anyway. But I'll tell you what I do enjoy that I find are quite reasonable are these ones from Guitar Center. S400 from Sterling Sterling S400. I got a pair of these a while ago, and I had them around because I just had them. They sent them to me to check out like years ago, 3-4 years ago. But I was always using the other ones. These became like, I just started using them once those other ones crapped out. I quite like these actually. So these are Sterling S400. Look them up. They're not expensive. Like everything else from Sterling, although now these are probably going to be expensive too. But let's take a look. So they probably have some in stock, S400, that won't be affected by all crap. Looks like they're Guitar Center 139. Really reasonable. Super duper reasonable. So I quite like those. Really good. I see some on eBay for cheap, like used, $60. They make a S400 and S450. Now for other ones like that are more like Audio Technica and stuff like that. I've got a bunch of different sets of headphones, man. I've got a pair of open back high-end Audio Technicas that I really like, but you're asking for under 400. I'm just going to recommend these. It looks like they're about 140 a pair, and I got no complaints. I use them I don't use monitors a lot for recording, but if I'm doing acoustic guitar or I want to kind of check a mix on something else other than my speakers, just to get a different thing, I'll put them on and stuff, and I quite like them. They're definitely not as colored or as hyped as something like the 7506 Sonys or something that I used to use, which have a lot of top end, and they're more like the NS10 of headphones or something. They've got a real, not that they sound like NS10s, but they got their own sonic stamp. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I'm seeing lots of them. It looks like used and for really inexpensive. So pick some up. Audio Technica M50s. Those are the other ones that I've had here for a long time. They're almost like the industry standard or whatever version of that's in Audio Technica. M50s. You used to go to studios and you'd see either those or you'd see the 7506s, the Sonys. So. But I like those Audio Technicas too. They're nice. Kind of punchy, a little darker sounding, punchy. Ben says that he had a good time involving some mushrooms the other night. Shiitake mushrooms? What kind of mushrooms, Ben? What else we got here? Let's see. AeroPress, Earl's recommending for coffee on the road. I've tried that. I thought it was great. Somebody made me some once. It was really good. Very good. Yeah, and the only thing about the coffee I was recommending, the flash frozen coffee, is that you do have to keep it in the freezer. So it's like if you're on the road, that'll work on a bus, I guess, in the freezer. But if you're going in hotel rooms and stuff, this one doesn't have a fridge, then you're up the creek. So. Yeah, in that case, the AeroPress would be a better choice if you're making your own. Richard said coffee prices have started to skyrocket at the grocery store. Yep, that's 100% true. All I'll say about that is we don't grow coffee in the United States of America because we can't, because we don't have the climate for it. So anyway, all right. What else? Just put a Thornbucker Plus into a budget guitar, and you say Delta. It's turned it into a monster. What a fantastic pickup! I love the Thornbucker Plus for a replacement all-arounder going into different instruments, especially super strats. And it's great in Les Pauls and stuff too. In my Les Pauls, I have the regular Thornbucker set, and then in my HSS model, I like Thornbucker Plus or Thornbucker 2. Yeah. Generally speaking, what's this right here? Do you find that you need to lower the bass on your amp when doing IRs? Lower than what you would run into a cab? No. You mean when using an IR? No, you could try an IR that doesn't have quite as much. Like a lot of IRs have sort of a little bit of hype going on. I find the Celestian ones are the closest in a tonal balance to, yeah, that's what it sounds like when I put a microphone on a guitar cabinet. So if you're finding you've got too much like overhyped low end or just a fuller sound, I will say, like, I love a lot of the own hammers and stuff, but there is the tendency there sometimes for them to be fuller, darker, fatter sometimes than other IRs. So if you're talking about own hammers, you might experience that. Yorks to me are really great, but they're sort of produced sounding too, which could equate to fatter, I guess. They've been very big sounding, full sounding. Whereas a Celestian, to me, their IRs tend to be the most like, that is an unhyped microphone in front of a guitar speaker. That's what it sounds like, you know? I don't know what that, you know, it's all very dependent on the way people place microphones, and proximity effect and all that can be a factor too. So you might try something where, you know, I'd say with any of the Celestians, you're fine. Even the fat, they don't have like an overabundance of low end. But on other ones, if you're experiencing like a thicker sound, but you basically like the color of it, and you're finding like, I like that, but it seems like it's more bass than when I play through a cabinet, try and find a similar one that where the mic is moved back a little bit, so there's not as much proximity effect. Or err on the side of using IRs that aren't, you know, I know sometimes they'll do blends, right? It's like a ribbon, a 121 and a 57 or something. Usually when engineers do that, though, in the studio, it's not an even blend. You know, like most people will tend to favor the 57 pretty dramatically. I mean, at least like 6 dB over the Royer or whatever. You're never doing a 50-50 blend. But I find sometimes when people make IRs, they just pull them up to the same level. So I'll hear sometimes on IRs with a 57 and a Royer, it's like, well, that sounds like it's too much Royer to me. Not that there's anything wrong with the Royer, but if you're, you know, they are fatter, and so you're getting the lows out of them. So I like to use basically a dynamic mic, and then whatever my second mic is that I'm kind of using to augment the 57 or whatever else I'm using for a dynamic, I'll just pull it in until I hear it get a little fatter, you know, and then I'll tend to, like, if I was to analyze that and go, well, how much of it am I using? It's quite dramatically lower in volume than the dynamic. I think we've just grown accustomed to the way dynamic mics sound on guitar cabs over the years and stuff, and other microphones is almost like the added flavor just to give it a little something else. But you don't necessarily want tons of that spice in there, you know. That's just my opinion. Now, sometimes I still love using just my 1973 from Soyuz. Great microphone, and I can use that all kind of on its own if I just spend a little time positioning it right for the sound I'm going for. That's a great overall picture, and that gets me more in the zone of like the ACDC, like when they were just using U67s or U87s or whatever they're using on cabs. They didn't really use dynamics, I don't think, that much. Later on, I think, but back when they were doing the, you know, the stuff that Mutt was producing and all that, I think that was allegedly just like, you know, big diaphragm Neumanns. Oh, God. Good coffee. Yeah. Got to do it. What do we got here? Brian says he saw Joan Jett and Billy Idol last night. Real amps on the stage. Yeah, man. Got to do it. Billy's stage looks really great. Like the screens and everything, the stage design, super beautiful, whatever they're doing right now. Everything I've seen from the tour, it was like whoever designed that, they did an amazing job. It looks incredible. Is there a way to get the Eddie Eventide sound with built-in Logic plugins? Yeah, I think there's in Logic a pitch shifter that'll do just pitch. I think, you know, that I don't want to open Logic right now because it might do weird things to my audio driver, but I'm pretty sure Logic. And you know, I'm not saying it's going to sound exactly the same, but the basic pitch shift in Logic. Yeah. Okay, there it is. Yeah, it's just the basic one that looks like it's called pitch shifter in Logic. So you just want to use it, you know, obviously semitone set to nothing, but sense you'll set to well, what you're going to want to do is do a little bit of bussing so that you've got a send going out to a bus or 2 buses, and then you'll need to route. There's different ways to do the routing. You can either, there's just, what I would do is use 2 buses. Okay, so you're gonna have on your channel in Logic, here's your basic guitar sound, whatever that is already recorded, dirty, raw, dry, whatever. Okay, now you're gonna have 2 sends on the channel strip below that. You can send 1, send 2, let's say, and those are gonna automatically patch to 2 bus faders. Pan one of those bus faders to the left, pan the other one to the right, send 1, make that first bus that's now panned left, send 2, that's going to send out to the bus fader that's on the right. Then pull up a pitch plugin on each of those channels. Now you've got 1 panned left, 1 panned right, and what you're going to do is set one of the pitch plugins for -9 cents, and then on the other side you're going to set the other one for +9 cents. And you want the mix 100% wet. So I'm looking at the plugin right here. There's a semitones parameter. I'll leave that at 0 cents, -9 or +9, depending on which, the right or left. Mix 100% wet. That's it. That's all you got to do. And you don't need latency compensation since it's just wet sound. So that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Delay you can set at, you can experiment with it, I guess, but probably nothing. Yeah, and it says timing speech. I don't know what that parameter it is, but anyway, that should work. Play with it and see if it works. All right, let's move on from there. There's a super chat. I can catch that in just a second. Thinking of grabbing one model as a backup amp. Would you get FM3, Nano Cortex, or Tonex? Purely in amps and drives, not worried about effects. I mean, to be honest, they're all going to do stuff that is good. You know, the FM3 is a modeler, so it's a little different because Nano Cortex and Tonex aren't really modelers. They're hosts for captures. So just pick, I mean, they've all got to this, at this point, some degree of effects and stuff. The FM3 is you say don't care about effects, but it's got the most capable as far as routing and effects and stuff like that goes out of them. But having said that, Nano Cortex, especially with the new firmware update, they've now got all kinds of effects in there that you can use. And the Tonex is great and really reasonably priced and does, the captures are terrific in it. And it's got a nice suite of effects in there as well. So I honestly, we're picking between cars here. What's better? You want the Ford, the Chevy, or the Toyota? Yeah. Wasn't expecting Glenn Hughes to be on vocals, says Todd Roy with the new Satchi single. Why not? He's amazing. He's a rock legend. What better person to sing on a rock song? Both guitar players for Idol, Steve and Billy Morrison, playing Nags into Friedman's. Sounded great. Yes, they're both terrific. I played a gig with Billy just a couple weeks ago with the Royal Machines, his band that he does with Mark McGrath and Josh Freese and these terrific people. And I had a blast. It was so fun. Steve normally does the gig, but I sort of filled in for him. And Dave Navarro sometimes does it, but I got to step into those shoes and have a lot of fun playing some rock songs with some fun people, great musicians. Yeah. Elijah says, started doing much session work lately with the mix of demands between coming up with creative ideas plus perfect execution. It's time consuming. Any advice? That's kind of the gig. I don't know. You want to get to the point where it's not so time consuming. I guess it just involves just kind of honing your craft. I know what you mean. And there's the pressure's on these days to be more like sort of better than ever, and I feel that. And I think that's a common internet thing, to the point where people have gotten into these, playthroughs and things like that, because they think, well, it's Instagram and everybody expects it to be perfect. And I can't quite do it perfect. So I'll just spend all day doing 60 takes or whatever and nailing it. And then I'll act like I'm playing it, which is, in my mind, I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's not my thing, that's never what I do. It's always the performance is what you're trying to capture. But yeah, there's no, I guess I'm sorry, but there's no easy, there's no easy road. You just got to put in the 10,000 hours or whatever and just practice the parts. I mean, I would say that, I will say this, in any given piece, if you're having difficulty, it's generally like one thing or two things. So then you just want to find out where that is, you know, like one run in a solo, or you know what I mean? Or like, I was used to say, like, for example, when you're trying to sing a part and play a guitar part at the same time, you find it difficult to sync those. It's not the whole thing. It's generally something where there'll be a vocal, a syllable or something, or you have to say something or sing something at the same point when you're doing something counter on the guitar, a 16th note later or an eighth note later or something. Once you identify that, you can hone in on that one little thing and just figure it out and practice it and go, here's the problem phrase, slow it down, isolate it, get it. I see what it is. And it's just this intangible where you finally get it and then you pull it all together. But if you spend your time going over and over the entire verse, let's say, and then screwing up that one part, you haven't recognized that it's just that one little thing that's the problem. It's not the rest of it, or maybe two little things. And so you can kind of streamline the time a little bit by identifying those little problem areas. Hopefully, maybe that's helpful, because I did find that helpful when somebody recommended that to me. Like, just find the one little thing. And when it comes to, this is a little off topic because it's not, but I do think it's an interesting thing when it comes to singing and playing parts at the same time. Identifying those little things, and also learning the guitar part and learning the vocal part separately at different times. You know, not at different, whatever, like one after the other, but learn them both independent of one another. So I can play the guitar part perfectly. I can sing the part really well. Now let's put them together. Oh, there's the problem area. It instantly becomes obvious. If you're trying to learn them both at the same time, I find it can be really time consuming. So to your point about time consuming, maybe there's something in there, you know, to just identify the little problem areas and work that out. Generally takes a lot less time than practicing the whole thing over and over and over again. Yeah. Let me see if I got news back about those pots. So are they available aftermarket? They're called Noble, Noble, but the exact ones that we use, I don't think are available, because I think that they're a specific. Can you buy them off your website? They might be available for the Sir. I'm just checking. I'm checking with John Sir himself. They basically worked with them to get tension and things all dialed in. Looking through the chat here. I should grab that super chat. I'm probably way behind as well. So, okay, yeah, I'm going to shoot way the hell down in the chat here and grab this, which is just thanks for answering my question from Cole. Thank you for that, Cole. I appreciate the super chat. Depends on how many we have in stock. Since we send an email if you want some really good pots to cs@sur.com, suhr.com, and ask, is it possible to buy some Noble pots? It's kind of like they buy them, they get them custom. They're sort of a custom spec, and then they buy them kind of in bulk from Noble, get as many as they can, and for their guitars, but they may or may not sell them. So that's the best I can do. Okay, so yeah, check with customer service, and they may be able to sell you some. Love that pot. You know, beyond that, maybe Dunlop Super Pots or the Burns, I would say, is what I recommend. You know, CIS, not so great. After plugging holes, drilling and screwing, I got the Fender bridge to work. I only installed a bridge pickup. Seymour Duncan for Joe Bonamassa. Amos. Sorry, what guitar is that, Victor, you're talking about? Fender bridge on a Partsacaster or something that you're building? I'm just not sure. Alan's saying he saw Steve Morse using a Shure KSM32 on his cab. That's a pretty good mic. I used to use those with, I think, Melissa Etheridge for a tour. I can't remember exactly, but I've used KSM32s on a couple tours. Pretty nice. Sure, large diaphragm condenser, nice live microphone. I would use them. I would still use them. Yeah. Do you happen to have a 335 guitar? I do, Arthur. Yeah, my red one. Oh yeah, I just haven't used it a lot in recent years, but it's right over there. My 63 335 with a headstock repair and some other stuff going on. But yeah. What else here? Simon says, watch you playing with Satchi Band. Wow, what a gig. It is a great gig. I'm super stoked. Super excited for the summer. In a few weeks here, I'll be headed over to rock with those guys. What are your top 3 favorite amps in the music room? Well, the PT100, if I had to have one, would be my, I can do just about anything I need to do on that. Other than that, PT15 I love, of course, as well. It's hard to pick. I mean, there's things in here that are different. Like, for example, that top hat is an AC30, basically. And that's a totally different thing. That sometimes that is the thing. I really actually quite enjoy the Soldano. That's, you can't see it because it's blocked by the comment there, but it's down there in the bottom. Great rock amp that's a different voice than my PT100, which is more traditional Marshall. SL68, always awesome. Monoplexy. There it is. Voiceable, tweakable. My old Marshall 50. I love them. And the little Friedmans, and there's all kinds of fun stuff in there. I don't know. I can't pick, man. It's like, what your kids do you like? Yeah. I'm just going back through the chat a little bit from where that super chat was. Yeah. Everybody on the gear page was talking bad about that new Haggard and Satch song, but I thought it sounded pretty good. I noticed that as well. I thought everybody on the gear page was talking bad about it, and I think it's pretty good. There's always going to be haters, right? You can't do anything about it. But yeah, the gear page has just become very, like, I almost read, I think maybe the same way as you, Bubba. Like, I get on there and I'm like, oh, let's see what everybody thinks. Probably let's just get in the conversation here. And it's like, wow, it's really negative, actually. And I just don't feel that way a lot. And that tends to make me, like, it pulls me away from there a little bit, because I think the gear page has been a great resource, and I still quite enjoy it. I've been a member there for 25 years. But the negativity that seems to, it's just really weird. It's like, it just, I mean, don't you feel like it has this kind of like grumpy old man shaking stick at the clouds sort of vibe sometimes? It's just kind of annoying. It's like, it's been the most successful long-running guitar forum, I think, on the internet, because they sort of, it's a little bit uptight with things you can talk about and things like that, and they police it and stuff. But to their credit, it's worked, because it keeps it civil, and people kind of know that you can't get away with, like, you're going to get banned and going to get whatever there really quick if you step outside their rules. So kind of makes it work. But the negativity is like kind of weird, I don't know. I mean, it's like, what's the point of being so negative, Sammy Hagar, I mean, I feel like people expect him to be somebody he's not a lot of the time. He's a simple, straightforward guy that likes to have fun and rock and roll and make money and just be Sammy Hagar, And when he puts out things, sometimes people will be like, I mean, he kind of says whatever's on his mind. There's not a lot of editing going on and everything. But at the core, probably pretty good guy, I think, and like, not like a, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I think people they just pile on sometimes, kind of. It's just kind of weird. So I enjoyed the song. I mean, I think it's good, and it's got a good spirit and everything. And the guitar tone's great on it, I thought. Really good, and Joe plays great on it. And I don't know what the hell, man. It's like weird. People, it's so negative. I bet you go to the shows and it goes over great. Everybody's having a good time. It's just the internet where people, say all this bullshit. It's silly. It's like a disease, the internet negativity. What else? I have the Audio Technica headphones, the M50X, very good. Yeah, those are the ones I've got as well. Yeah, and I do like those. Only problem with the ATH phones is they start to peel away everywhere. That's kind of the thing that happens with headphones, like more than the headphones breaking. It's always like some physical thing with the the pads, or the the band at the top breaks, or like all that kind of stuff seems to happen with headphones. That's true. Lots of people recommending those 40s or 50s here, Lauren says. Yeah. And what else we got here? When you saw Michael Landau playing at the Spud, was he playing Fiesta Red Strat with humbuckers or those Fur pickups? I don't remember him with a Fiesta Red Strat with humbuckers, but Mike's always switching stuff. You know, he's always doing different stuff. So I'm not sure about when that would have been and stuff. I mean, I know that he's got that old Fiesta Red Strat, but I thought it was just single coils. Maybe he switched to humbuckers. He seems to be kind of moving in the direction of humbuckers lately. Like in Strats, you know, the Kona Strat and all that, and the different, you know, he's got played the different ones with the kind of split, you know, the where they shaw or whatever, like the split humbuckers. Yeah. What is your favorite mic pre for guitar recording? Well, I've got a few that I've used over the years. I've got an API here that's basically two 312 pre's that I really like. What I've done recently for the last, it's probably in 2 years or something, though, is just been using my BAE 1073 MP, which is a dual 1073. So like two Neve 1073s, and there's a summing mod on it so that they both sum to one output. So I can easily record two microphones to one track in Logic without having to do any kind of bussing in Logic or anything like that. It's just analog bussing. And I love that. Now, with that said, that's worked great. I might be working on something to bring to you folks that like such things. Just a specific sort of niche thing that I'm working on with a company that I think is, you know, there's a need for it out there for guitar players, bass players, all kinds of folks for doing this very thing. So more on that down the road a little bit. Hopefully it won't take too long. Braxall says, since I got your new D2 and a charcoal guitar, my other guitars are getting neglected. I wish you come to Guitar Sanctuary to sign it. One of these days, man, I'll make it out there. I know Chris Clarkson and I have talked about doing some more stuff in the fall and stuff once touring slows down a little bit. I should have some time, maybe September, October, November. I bet I have some time then to do some things. And I would love to do that. Thanks again for getting the guitar, and I'm glad it's serving you well and you're enjoying it. Glenn Thompson says, been using a 12-inch Selection Copperback 250 Neo for a while now and find it better than the original Jensen Neo that came with my Fender Jazzmaster amp. Vast improvement. What's a Fender Jazzmaster amp? I don't even know what that amp is. Interesting. Copperback 250 Neo. Cool. Probably really light. Keeps things weight-wise to a minimum. When are you doing an EVH lesson course for us? Come on, you and Dweezil would be an amazing combo. Oh, man. It's all there in the EVH recordings. Everything you need to know. You just gotta... The part of the fun is digging for the way he did things and all that. And then you can watch videos from guys like me and, you know, Phil X, DeRaps, and everybody that does that stuff and garner things from all of them. Yeah. And come up with your own way to do it, because that's the only way. At the end of the day, you're going to do it your own way to some degree. Pete, there is a barbecue channel I follow that has that frozen coffee on his channel. So on his channel as a sponsor, I have not tried it. He said it's awesome. I hear that it's really, really, really good. Ooh, you're suggesting I get them as a sponsor. That's a pretty great idea. That's a pretty great idea. I like that idea. What else we got here? Just saw a video about the tone wood discussion. What do you think about the influence wood has sound wise? Totally. Anything that influences the vibration of the string has an effect on the sound. So yeah, I'm a total believer in it. And I've suggested, like, just for another video, check out the video I did in 2012 or something like that, where I compare two different Sir Alt Ts, not Alt Ts, it was the classic Ts, and two classic S's that have different body woods, but all the other parts are the same. Ash and alder, you know, and you can listen to the difference between the two guitars. The difference you hear in that video is exactly what I hear in I think it's apparent in the video. You can listen to the, you know, I just play same part on two different guitars that are otherwise exactly the same. And it's like, yeah, that's obviously the Ash thing, and that's obviously the older thing. I don't know. Some people can't maybe hear the difference, but if they can't hear the difference, it doesn't mean there's not a difference. It just means that they can't hear the difference. Yeah. Moving down through the chat here. Let's see. What else we got? Bear Dynamic DT770 Pros. Those are good headphones. I actually have some of those as well. They're somewhere. I'm not sure where they are. I should use them more. They do sound really good. It's funny. I think I've got all the usual suspect headphones, like those, the M50s, the 7506s. I've got pairs of all of these. You know, I don't actually use headphones that much, so occasionally. I really like my open back ones that I have from Audio Technica. They sound beautiful, but they're not a studio tracking headphone really, because they got open backs. So they're really like more audiophile kind of thing. Oh, okay, Victor, you're right. Coffee's grown in Hawaii. Kona coffee. That is the one. You're right. I stand corrected. Kona coffee. But, you know, that's just that coffee. Maybe we'll all be drinking Kona coffee now. Everyone on the gear page was talking about. Oh, I already looked at that. That was about the Satchi, or not Satchi, Hager and Satchi song. Yeah. Adam Audio H200s reviewed as very neutral by two mastering engineers, but still keep coming back to my Status Audio CB1s. Those are I had Status Audio CB1s. They're a terrific headphone. That was like $80, but they're not even made anymore. So, and if they were made, you wouldn't be able to get them because you know why. But I think they went out of business a while ago. They did break. They weren't like the sturdiest. The band broke on mine, but boy, did they sound good. Really good headphones. For the money, especially. Really, 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 really good. What else? What is the best polish to use on Murphy Lab Les Pauls? I do have a good answer for that. This stuff from Stu Mac, your resource for great stuff like that. Premium polish, premium cleaner. This stuff is called Virtuoso. It's good for lacquer. So try some of this stuff. Virtuoso. You can get it on, and they might have some other stuff too from other companies, but you can get it on the Stu Mac website. Regular old guitar polish tends to, you just want something that's for lacquer. So make sure it specifies that it works well on lacquer, because otherwise it can get cloudy and weird. And carnauba wax, I guess, works good on lacquer. I burped. How rude. It was sort of a half burp. It wasn't really much of a burp at all. If you're going to burp, you should just go for it, right? Don't try and stifle it. Have at it, for God's sakes. Moving down through the chat. Oh, there's a super chat. I think I got that one already. I'd moved back. So here's another. Way Cool Jr. Thank you. Is that how that riff goes? Way Cool Jr. I like that riff. Can you please give some information on the Pariah Pancake pickup and how do they compare to Ernie Ball DiMarzio? That's interesting. I didn't know Pariah made Pariah. How do you spell Pariah? That must be his attempt. It's called the pancake, not it's called the pound cake, not the pancake. And so yeah, this is going to be his pickup. That's like the his take on the Ernie Ball, which is our secret menu. After spending a long while on our secret menu, the time has come for the pound cake set to take its rightful place in our modern humbucker lineup. Fueled by inspiration from the early 1990s rock. You know what he's talking about. Pound cake bridge humbucker delivers a refined presentation with nice cut and clarity that makes for an exemplary balance of silk and slam, smooth leads, punchy rhythms, and plenty of wail. Riding shotgun to the pound cake bridge, the pound cake neck pickup is an ample supply of buttery tones attributed to its clarinet-like timbre. available in 4-conductor wire, vacuum wax spotted, etc. Okay, well, there you go. There's your one-stop shop to that style of pickup. It says, yeah, interestingly, okay, says the neck is 15K and the bridge is 18K. Alnico 5 magnets. Yeah, I mean, I guess he tried to probably nail the Music Man thing. I haven't tried them. Don't know how they compare. Haven't tried them. Would like to try them. I've got one of those guitars here, and it sounds great. What else? What else? What else? What else? Deep Purple, okay. Those later albums, I don't know as well. What about Hughes Thrall? That John Sir is a big fan of that. Glenn Hughes, Pat Thrall, right? Hughes Thrall. John's a big Pat Thrall fan. He's somebody that people don't talk about that much. Maybe they should. Musical project formed in '82 by former Deep Purple and Trapeze bassist and vocalist Glenn Hughes and guitarist Pat Thrall. He's played me a little bit, and I think it's super cool. Let's all go listen to the Hughes Thrall album after we get off of here. Not yet. Don't leave. But yeah, Pat Thrall. Can you please explain to me the difference between the Pariah? Oh, we already did that. Geez, I'm sucking here. Sorry about that. Do you ever get sick and tired of gear? Not like sick and tired, because I love, like I know what you're saying. But once again, I try and live in the light. So it's not that. I just try and shift my perspective away. All I got to do is go to the beach for a day or something, or go hang out with cats, or do something different for a while. And then I come back to it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just as interested in this as I always was. It just gets a little overwhelming sometimes. If you would have told me when I was 14 that I would have this gig where people would send me things to make videos of and all this, and it would be like, hey, do you want to try our new, are you kidding me? Like, I would have lost my mind, you know? But does it become a job? Well, sure. Like, to some degree, when you get it and it's like, I got a deadline and I got to, like, whatever, and I need to deliver and I need to be creative, and it pulls you out of the sheer, well, this is just fun to play with overdrives or whatever thing a little bit. That's like anything, right? In life, I think, I think my dad always loved cars. He ended up owning a car dealership. Was he stressed about it a lot? Yeah. It was stressful. And there's probably times where he's like, screw this place. I wish I could just go away to Hawaii and never think about cars ever again. But he was always a fan of cars, Having said that, he also, he bought himself a 57 Thunderbird and was very proud of it. And things like that. When you're a kid, you've got these dreams, and then you get there, and then it's like, it becomes the job, but you still love it. You just need to balance, man. That's all it is. You just need to balance. So when I get there, I gotta play more guitar, and think about less gear, and try and do that balance, just get away from the gear a little bit, or go do something else that's not guitar related, and then I come back to it and I'm just as interested. Gear was always interesting to me. When I was a kid, I was always interested in the nuts and bolts, the pedals and the pickups, and how things work, and and that's the difference between people like Sir and and somebody that's a guitar player that doesn't even know about gear. He was really into the gear and really into better tool. He likes tools, and he likes things that work well and how they're designed and things. So he went way into that. We were just talking about this the other day, where he's like, he feels that sometimes, where he's like, I don't even want to look at another amplifier, but he loves it at the same time, and he always did. It's just, it ends up becoming, we just had this discussion and how it applies to different careers, like I said, my dad's was a good example too, too much of anything is too much. Oh, can we talk about hockey for just 1 second? Did anybody see that game last night? Oh my God. The Las Vegas and Edmonton Oilers played last night, and Vegas ended up winning, which, sad, but it was a really good game. I got to say, those two teams are really it's like war. It's like a battle, and they feel quite evenly matched. The other night, game 2, 4-4 game in the third period, 25 shots on goal each team. It was just like as about as even as you can get, right? And you do get the sense well, this could just go either way. But that goal last night so it was about to go into overtime. And I'm talking, we were 5 seconds away from it going into overtime. 3-3, tied game. And it was McDavid, I think, right? For those that were watching the game that happened to be in front of the net. Can't fault him. Guy from Vegas, I don't even know who it was, fires the puck at the net. And the puck was going diagonally across the ice, right? Like it was going to go right in front of the goal. McDavid's right in front of the net, though, and I think just attempts to deflect it. And instead, he catches the edge of the puck and it flies in the net. And if you look at the clock, 0.2 seconds left. And when you watched it, I was like, no, wait a minute. Like everybody in Edmonton was like stunned as this happened, right? I mean, the place probably went silent. Like, what is happening? And it's like, that can't be. The game was over. And then we watched the replay, and it's like, there's no denying when you watch the clock counting down. It's at 0.2 seconds, 0.1 seconds. I mean, 0.2 of a second did you see that puck cross the line into the goal. And, oh my God, it was sorry, it wasn't McDavid. Excuse me, I said McDavid, didn't I? It was Draisaitl, right? I think that was in front of the net. I think. And I was just like, oh God, that was oof. What a fumble. But I feel bad for him because he's just there and he's trying to do his thing. Had he just jumped out of the way, like, the puck just would have shot across and that would have been it. And they would have gone into overtime. Maybe there'd be a different result. Or maybe not, but whatever. Oh, brother. Let's give Dean DeLeo some props here. Have you heard the new Dean DeLeo song? I haven't, but you liked it. So, and I like Dean, so I got to go check it out. For sure. Billy Wagner says, TGP is full of haters. Aston says that attitude, it sent me away from the Europe page. Yeah. Reddit is toxic as hell. For sure. Most web forums are toxic as hell. I mean, we've kind of realized you probably have to be really, you have to be moderating things militantly is the only way to keep away the terrible tendencies that people go to when they're anonymous on the internet. I'm going to eat this peach here. Wow. That's good. Boy, is that good. The Instagram guitar community much more positive than the gear page. I don't know. I mean, I think there's negativity everywhere these days, unfortunately, on the internet. Luckily, we don't have a hell of a lot of that here. It's great. I mean, we can get in here and be real. And it's like, I don't know, for some reason, you guys, and I feel like this community, it always stays really positive. One thing that's great is on the Satch Vibe video, we were all commenting on this afterwards. Like, look at the comments, like really positive, overwhelmingly like super supportive. That's great to see a guitar video that just where it seems to, stay positive. So, yeah. Do you think Bill Lawrence doesn't get the recognition he should? Ask several people who won't go on record about being erased from pickup history. I guess there's something to be said for that. Yeah, I mean, I've never owned one. The what's it called? L500. But it's obviously Nuno's pickup of choice forever, and lots of other folks. I mean, Nuno would be the one really carrying the torch, I think. Is that the pickups in Dimebag Darrell's guitars too? Can you use that pickup? And for sure. Should have he probably invented the blade pickup, right? I would think. Yeah. Okay. Recent DLR show sounds really good. I wish he would do more. He is doing more. He's doing a tour. Yeah, you can look, Richard. He's on his site. Maybe he's coming to a town near you. He's going on the road with Al and the boys. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it as well. I thought they sound really good, Let's keep it positive. He's out there, he's making music, he's doing the thing. Oh, just delicious. I thought the background singers were a total stroke of genius. I love those guys. I thought that was great. Totally cool. Like, wouldn't have expected it. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's the way to do that. And it's so Dave, like just a good idea. That makes it really fun, I thought. So really enjoyed it. Yeah. Are you a fan of Fender tube amps, says Christopher? Yeah. One of the greatest studio amps of all time to me is Deluxe Reverb. Works with pedals, It's not too loud. You can get it clean. You can get it dirty, all within a reasonable volume range. Records really well. What's not to like? Like, just killer. For me, really love it. Some people are 410 bassman people. I've never really bonded with that amp, but I will say I was in a band with a guy that toured with one, and he used it with pedals, and I thought it was great sounding. It's the 410 Bassman Limited or whatever, a newer version of it. I thought it worked for him. It sounds cool, with a full tone overdrive in front and a few pedals. It sounded really good. I'm not really a Tweed person either, but Tweed Deluxe, great sound. The Victoria Double Deluxe, now that was an amp. Had just enough power, 2 speakers instead of 1. It didn't sound underpowered to me like some Deluxes do and fluts out kind of early. It was more like tough sounding with a little more headroom because it was a double output Deluxe, basically 4 6v6s. Really like that amp. Not a Fender technically. I love Princeton reverbs. Like, I have one here. It's under my desk, actually. Really good with just to play, practice through and stuff. It's nice. Yeah. Rick says, I got a good deal from a coworker on a lightly used Marshall DSL 40 CR, but I've seen varying opinions on them, from great, most versatile amp to junk, and it'll break down right away. I heard they run hot, maybe, and that's where some of those negative opinions are coming from. I remember the DSL 40 from back in the day, like the 2-channel 40-watt combo variant of the DSL 50 or 100, kind of basically was what it was. And I played through them a little bit back then, 25, it's literally that long ago. They've been out 20, 25 years ago now. And I thought it was pretty good, But I remember people saying they would overheat. And there was issues and stuff. But goes for a lot of Marshalls, So I don't know. If it sounds good, then cool. I think you should do a show with Ola. He mentioned you on Sunday. Oh, did he? Oh, I got to see that. I love Ola, man. I mean, he's a great, YouTuber resource guitar player that's also, he goes out and does pro gigs and all that stuff, and he's totally legit. So, and a funny guy, obviously intelligent, love his work ethic. What's not to like? I'm actually doing a video for some of his pedals. Let's take a look at them right now, shall we? I think I showed them last week. I'm going to try and get to this video this week. And if it's not this week, it'll be the next week. I've got 2 weeks to finish a bunch of videos before I go on tour. But we're going to take a look here. The Chug EQ Boost. And then his tuner. The Solar Chug Tuner. I think I showed them last week. I'm going to show them again anyway. Who cares? Let's take a look for a second time. So, parametric EQ pedal. This is the boost pedal. And, just really versatile, I would say, with this sweepable everything on there, and then a level for your mid frequencies, low frequencies, high frequencies. You've got is that a high pass filter? Yeah, you got a high pass filter there, which is great to keep things tight. Input level, output level, just cool. So I bet this in the what I'm imagining myself doing is putting this in the loop of my PT15 and turning it into some sort of metal monster. That's what I'm going to try. I think haven't done it yet, but I know it's going to work. I just know it. And then also maybe for a solo boost, try that, like with the boosts. In front, you could run it in front using the level to boost into the front end of an amp, fine tune your guitar's tone, maybe boost up mids and stuff, and get a really cutting tone, I bet, in front of an amp successfully with this. I'm just telling you, I haven't even tried it, but I know it's going to work. And then here's the tuner. Actually, let's plug it in and take a look. I know I've got a little power supply cable here. I can do that. See if it lights up. Ooh, it's in blue. Ooh, look at that. So I think the tuner looks like it's Korg. I don't want to assume, but I'm guessing that's what it looked like when it lit up to me. Like it would be, right? And then you've basically got a mute switch here and a boost, switchable boost with a level. So that's cool. Just, I assume, kind of clean boostish. Ooh, off 720 hertz or 1K. Is that like a mid-range boost that you can boost at 720? That's kind of neat. I bet that's what that is. I'm guessing. I should have read the manual, but there's a switch here. It says off 720 hertz or 1K. Says to me that that's going to kind of, you're going to hit a boost. I don't know. I'm assuming. effect or through out to. It's interesting. Not sure what that does, but we'll see. It's got 2 outputs on it with a ground lift for the second out. So if you want to go to 2 amplifiers and get your ground isolation there so you don't get a ground whip, that's pretty nice. So you can, let's say, do a Tool style rig with a diesel or dual rectifier and a Marshall for some heavy ass tone. That's pretty cool. That's it, man. The Chug tuner. So I'll look forward to trying that real soon. Put those there for now. And I'll check out Ola's show as well. Tom Bukovac is awesome. 501 Homeschool is also a great channel. 100%. He's a fountain of knowledge and really nice guy too. I've met him. He's very, very nice. Great guitar player. Obviously comes up with terrific sounding parts. It's very musical. And he likes guitar just like we do. Fellow 71, that's me. I was born then. Oh my God, a long time ago. Born Canadian from the Okanagan and from Calgary. Parallel lives, also being an Ed head, still playing. Didn't make it like you, but I haven't given up. Man, it's like we make it doing whenever we make it doing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you've got a terrific thing going on. If you're still up there in BC, I'm jealous. It's a beautiful, supernatural British Columbia. You'll remember that ad campaign, of course. One of the greatest places on earth. Maybe I'll retire there someday. You see a Mesa Boogie reissue Mark II C Plus in the background. What do I think about it? I love the Metallica scoop sound. Yeah, great amp. And for that thing, you know, it's a classic. And it's not a Marshall, and it's its own thing that, you know, way more Fender based, obviously, and has a place in metal and rock history for sure. Maybe they don't get their, you know, their due credit. A lot of people used them back in the day. Everybody bought one. Everybody owned one. Used them for a while. You know, all the studio cats in LA. I think Luke and Landau and all kinds of people used it. Big liquid tone that you can of course shape with the EQ. You know, with the graphic, which comes kind of post distortion. But big fat single note. You know, liquid, easier to play in many ways than the Marshall sound, I would say. So it's got its own thing going on. So I'm doing something for them coming up. It's not that particular amp, but it's something else. And you will see that coming relatively soon. My niece Hurt says, I cannot do pinch harmonics. I feel my amp distortion may be wrong. I think I just gave up on ever getting them to work. Man, the first thing you're doing wrong is saying you can't do it. You can do it without an amp. Can you hear it? I'll have to watch the video later and see if that just sounds like nothing or if you can actually hear it. I can hear it. Somebody tell me, can you hear the pinch harmonic come through? Oh, I got to hit all those super chats there, but can you hear it? Or not? Somebody tell me in the chat. I'm taking a look. Not seeing any comments where anybody said they could hear it. Might have just been silence. I'm not sure. I don't know how the... Yes, we can hear it. It's still there. So, all right. Let's talk about it for a second. Then I got to go back and hit those super chats. But it's really this. Like, if you look at my... I'll move my finger out of the way. It would normally be there, but there's where my thumb is. See, my thumb is like actually a little below this. So the pick hits the string, and then it directly hits the thumb right afterwards, right? And you got to find the point where you're not muting the string, but you're getting the harmonic. Right? Right? So it's just a matter of practicing where to put your thumb. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to work backwards to the chat now because I had a bump to the bottom to hear whether or not that was working. I love Mesa tones, prefer the Mesa King's X tone versus a saturated tone like Ola, but that's my taste. The King's X tone was really the rectifiers. And, you know, the thing is with any guitar player, including Ty Tabor, you know, he's got an amazing just sort of tone coming out of his hands and all that. And then his way he will tweak an amp and tune it for what he wants. He's going to do that whether he's on an Axe Effects, which I think he used for a while, you know, a lab amp. Like he's using pretty disparate, is that the word? You know, gear. And it always sounds like Ty Tabor to me. You know, Marshall used one of those for a while. Now on the orange combo or orange, solid state head, you know, and no matter what he dials it in, and it sounds like Ty Tabor. So, yeah. Guitar Cat says retirement sucks. I'll be 70 in November, and I miss being employed. I get that, man. I kind of never want to do it either. I mean, it's like I always want to keep doing stuff, but maybe there's something else you can find that you can do now that you've got time to do, like employment wise. I know what you're saying, but maybe like your own thing. I don't know, like whatever you're good at. What is it that you did? You know, maybe you can make custom guitar straps or like come up with something that's like I don't know. There's so many ways to be involved in still doing things, you know, and then, you know, you start your little internet store or whatever, and you start selling things or something or making things that, or, you know, I don't know what it is, but maybe there's something so that you can keep going. Wayne says, I'm in Kelowna and it's pretty nice. Britt just played there last night. She was in Kelowna. What's this lake? She went to a lake. This looks amazing. It's a lake in, well, here's a video she took. Osoyos. That's there's a line right here. That's the U.S.-Canada border. It runs right through the lake there. So interior of BC looks really beautiful. And there's a little hotel there right in the middle on like this little roadway going through the middle of the lake. It's kind of cool. So she stayed there last night and is just kind of hanging. I think they're leaving soon because they got to go to Seattle or whatever. But anyway, it looks really amazing. Did you have a manager or agent? I don't have a manager or an agent. It's just me. Just me doing everything, which is why everything's a mess all the time and looks like my mind in this room right now. Maybe it doesn't look so bad on there, but it's really messy in here right now. My desk is like something blew up. I did a video with Ola at NAMM years ago. He was still with Randall Washburn. It was about a 5-minute video on the fly. I did it for Rock and Roll Industries magazine. He's a good cat. He's a good cat. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? What else? Great show as usual, says Jazz Dragon. Thanks. What attenuator would I recommend to get that sweet spot? Have you tried a demo on the Mini Boss one? I haven't. Don't know that much about that one. I am personally using either the Power Station from Pariah for many years, and it's worked really well, or the Reload 2, which is kind of the new, I will say, sort of main squeeze around here. It just works great. 2 notes Reload 2. I'm looking at it. I don't know why. It's right there. It's like, hi. I'm not going to say something back to me. But it's a great load box, switchable between 4, 8, and 16, and also has built-in reamp stereo. So I can do stereo stuff with it, and I really love that. Unique in that. I think it's the only stereo reamp on the market. Yeah, really, really, really good. Yeah. What's the largest venue I've ever played? Like the biggest gig I ever did was, well, the biggest gig I ever did was still Rock El Parque in Colombia in 2004, which was for 140,000 people, I think. It was a massive, massive rock festival, and there was 2 stages. We closed the show that night, and all the people from the other stage came over. There's like 2 main stages. All the people came over to the one stage because we were playing with the last thing or whatever going on, I think, that night. So you had 140,000. It was an epically big crowd. 100,000 at Fuji was the all night live show that I did there in 2015 with Toyoshi Negabuchi. That was the craziest. That was the biggest stage ever built in Japan. It was 200 meters wide, and this epic all night gig that we started about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, and then we played till like 7 in the morning, 4 sets. That was crazy. Other venue like a stadium or something like that. I played the Rose Bowl once. It wasn't that many people, but it was the biggest venue technically. I mean, you can put 80,000 in there or something, I think, or 70 or 65 or 90 or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. Yep. Oh yeah, Alex Lifeson used the Bill Lawrence pickup. That's right. In the Sportscaster. I remember that. Another user of Bill Lawrence. I need your signature IRs in wave format. Where can I get them? I think you can make a static wave, but you can't buy them like that. So a Dyne IR, you could run there's a way that you could make a wave of it, basically. But it's kind of like third-party stuff that you'd have to just figure out how to do if you really want them in that. They don't sell them in that. They're exclusive sort of Dyne IR format. So you could use, if you want to take them with you, I mean, you could get something like the Two Notes, what's their standalone little box called that also does modeling and hosts their IRs. You could get that and put them in there. It's kind of a cool little unit. I mean, I know it's not an ideal thing because you buy something, but I just can't remember the name, but I'm going to look it up because I'm looking up all kinds of stuff today on the internet in the middle of the show here. Let's see, Two Notes. The heck is that thing called? Two Notes Audio. What is it called? It's right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember the name of it. I friggin' reject all cookies. Opus. The Opus. Like Yngwie, Magnum Opus. The little Opus box is just like a small pedal size thing, and it hosts their IRs, so you could use that if you want to you could dial in a perfect preset and then take it with you. Use it on the Opus. There's a super chat. Look at that. Gonna grab that super chat in a second. I think I've missed. There's one there that I missed. Thanks for that Eventide trick. Just tried it in Logic. Dual mono setting. Set +9 sounds awesome for EVH. That's why we come here, because maybe I can help sometimes. But yeah, it works, right? Its pitch shift is really basic. Like it's a delay where the signal is pitched. That's it. All you're doing is delaying the sound a couple milliseconds or something. You're making a copy of it, and then you're just tuning that digitally. And so is the Eventide special? Maybe, but like I'm just saying the micro pitch thing's relatively easy to achieve with different units that do pitch. It's not really like a crazy, there's no LFO or anything involved in it. It's not moving. It's just you're taking a signal and tuning it digitally. And then you're getting a still chorus kind of thing as a result. So I'm glad it worked. That's awesome. John says, gone down an EVH rabbit hole, made a Pro Tools session to play guitar through to get the sound. UA Lion, that's great. I know, I love that thing. I forget I have it, and then it's like, oh yeah, I can plug in and get a great EVH sound right out of my desktop. Lion plug-in, Pultec, 11. Oh, how do you set the Pultec? That's interesting. 1176 harmonizer, reverb pan, the whole nine. So fun. Tell us more about your sound. Give us your secrets. Make a video on it, maybe. Because I was thinking of doing that. It's like, I could easily just make a fun Van Halen jam preset. I was just thinking about this like yesterday or the day before about doing kind of similar thing, but I didn't think of the Pultec. That's cool. Yeah. Pultec, of course, for those that don't know, legendary EQ that just has a thing. You just put it in line and it's cool. Kind of like the 1176. What's a good traditional-ish Alnico rod magnet Telly pickup for PAF sounds? Not looking for a humbucker P90 or blade pickup. But you just said you want a PAF sounds. You want to tell, so you mean like a full-size humbucker, P90 or a blade pickup, but you want a Telly pickup that has a PAF sound. Okay, well, I don't know exactly, but I will say this. Fralin has a let me take a look at the Fralin for a second. They have a hum canceling Telly pickup that Friedman has in a guitar. Fralin pickups, and that pickup in his guitar is so cool, and it's the quietest pickup, and it's got a great sound, like a really, really great sound. So guitar pickups. I'm just taking a look at his website here to see. Explore Lenny Fralin's guitar pickups. Here's a bunch of Strat pickups. I want to say it's got pole pieces in it. Maybe this is steel pole. Vintage hot Telly. Let me just look for a second here. Split blade Telly. High output Telly. I think it's a steel pole Telly. Oh, that says it's P90 aggression for Telecaster. Steel pole 42 or steel pole 43. Perfect balance of P90 and Telly. P90 aggression for Telly. And then he also makes a high output Telly, loud, mean, and aggressive. Split steel pole Telly. Ah, that's the one he has. Clean P90 tone, no noise. I don't know if it's exactly what you want, man, but it's quiet as hell. And boy, I was like, that's a really cool pickup. So, noiseless P90 tone in a Telly bridge position. Yep, we got that. Enter the Fralin split steel pole Telly bridge. Noiseless P90 for Telly. Fat, thick mid-range, and aggressive highs. It's perfect drop-in replacement for any Fender Telecaster. And for those looking for a versatile, unique P90 tone for their Telly, get inspired to discover what you've been missing. I like it. Anyway, in Dave's guitar, I was like, that's serious. It was mainly the noise thing that I was like, it does sound like a barky, not overly hot, but like, and a P90, I mean, a PAF was designed to be basically like, well, we're going to make a hum canceling P90 sort of. That was their first, it was a similar output and all that. And maybe it's what you want. I'm just saying. And it's noise canceling. To cover trade war coffee price increases, Richard sent me a super chat. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're not slowing down on the coffee over here, no matter what. I'm not letting the whatever stop me from, you know what I'm saying. Cole says Kona steak. Kona is expensive. Kona coffee isn't, like, it was never an inexpensive proposition, was it? So there they go. They get you and then they get you. Do some videos on the business of music. Well, I'm an idiot though, so I don't know if that'll work. Getting endorsements, that I know how to do. Would be interesting to see and hear your approach and opinions. I'll just say this: you have to already have established a reason for them to want to work with you because it's a two-way street. So, and then it kind of comes to you. You don't even have to really try. And what that means these days is social media presence where people are engaged. They're interested in what you're doing. So whether that's YouTube or Instagram, or it's almost like being in a band now, nobody cares as much. Like if you're in a big band, sure, you might get a guitar deal or whatever, but people aren't really that interested. And, it doesn't matter if you're in friggin' like, an arena band. Okay, maybe an arena band, but it's like if you're not doing a lot of social media in any way, shape, or form, they don't care. If you've just got like a YouTube that's slamming or an Instagram where you've got like a significant amount of followers and a lot of engagement on posts, they want to work with you. That's it. Because there's no more guitar magazines really, right? I mean, there's but you know what I'm saying? People are looking at the internet now mainly. So guitar magazines have sort of become a part of that. You've got your Guitar World Instagram and right. And everybody's just kind of, it's leveled the playing field as far as who you can reach and how you can reach them. And if you have a magic thing that you do where you can reach people on social media somehow because you're making something interesting that people seem to want to watch, you've got just as much power as you know what I mean? Like at least, with those deals, those sorts of deals. So create that first and then go for the other thing after, and then it almost falls on your lap. Like you could send an email saying, hey, I'm Pete Thorn, guitar guy. I do YouTube and whatever. And you'll generally get an email back saying like, of course I know who you are. I don't mean like I'm tooting my horn, but it's like a bit, after 20 years or whatever, being at the dawn of YouTube and everything else, it's like, if I write an email at this point to a guitar company, maybe I've already like dealt with that person in just because the world gets smaller and smaller, the older I get. And it's like, they'll be, Pete, I met you at NAMM in 2009 when I was with such and such a company. You know what I mean? It'd be like, oh, of course. Or they're just like, yeah, we watch your videos, you know. So either that or they're contacting you saying, hey, we would love to have you check out this thing of ours or whatever. That's just kind of how it works after a while. So it's got to be that mutual, you know, two-way street kind of relationship. And then it just kind of falls into place. Victor, thanks for the super chat. Lighten that up there. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Wakel Jr., I think that was yeah, I got that one before. So thank you. Thank you guys for the super chats. And yes, this will definitely help with the with their coffee inflation, etc. Appreciate it. Any thoughts or opinions on bare knuckle Cobra strap pickups? Haven't tried that one. I've tried a few bare knuckles. The VH2 is a great humbucker if you're looking for that VH thing. He's got his own kind of way of going about it. I mean, it's an Alnico 5 kind of hot PAF wind. It's not an Alnico 2 like the 78 or anything like that. But when I say hot, I don't mean that hot. I mean, it's like upper end of what you can wind a PAF spec pickup to. But a great sounding pickup. But I don't know those particular strap pickups. Have you played the Sir Paolona guitars? Just a little bit at the shop. They're very, very light, as you would expect. Never plugged one in, but I've played them like acoustically and going, what's this going to be like? You know, I've got a Paolona guitar though, which is a Gilliaran. The body's Paolona, the neck is mahogany. It's got the body is, he cut out like a Les Paul sort of, where it's got maple top and mahogany back. He took a piece of mahogany, cut it all out, routed it all out. So it was sort of like almost like a hollow body or something. And then he inlaid Paolona into that. So it's still a solid body guitar, but with a lighter sort of center core. And then he put the maple top on. So it's about 6 pounds or something. I mean, it's very, very light guitar. Sounds really good. A lot of air. But the one thing I find with guitars that are lighter is they don't necessarily, there's always a point where they don't have the weight, which you might not want for everything. It can be great for a certain sound. You know, light guitars, be it Ash Strats that are really light, or Tellys, but they tend to have this airier thing without as much sort of fundamental punch. And there's a balance there where you're going to get more of that fundamental punch at the expense of air. This is a total generalization, but like with my old Les Paul, which is probably 10 pounds, not even that old, it's 2000 or whatever. But that guitar, my black Les Paul, has a real solid thing. It's heavier than a lot of my other Les Pauls that I have, like my R9 and stuff. And those guitars have a little more air, a little less of that. There's something about that one Les Paul where it's got this solidity, is that a word, to the tone. So that's the only thing I find with lighter instruments, you know. But sometimes it's not an option because people just have back problems and stuff, and you just got to go for the lightest thing. And so they're definitely light. I'll say that. For playing live, best option for SL68 to have delay reverb between head and cab. I feel the power station 2 notes reload is a bit overkill. Well, it's kind of the only way. If you want to go, you want like, if you got a combo lying around, like a Princeton reverb, or even a solid state little, like could be a Boss, that next tone or something, you know, one of those. Take a line out box, patch a line out box in the, you know, you can get the Sir one or different ones where you take a tap off the speaker output on its way to the cabinet, run that into an effect unit, and then set the effects 100% wet and run that into a little combo amp right into the front. Could be a little Fender combo, whatever you got. Dial in your effects. That's it. So basically you just got a little, like you have a little practice amp, 10-inch speaker, whatever, run into that. And that's what Scott Henderson does. He uses a little Fender. It's like maybe a Blues DeVille or something like that. And I never would have thought it would have sounded as good as it actually does. But when you think about it, you just plug it in the front, turn up the amp a bit, set it clean. And you've got the EQ then, mids, bass, treble, where you can kind of EQ. And all you've got coming through the combo is the effects then that you've patched in off that tap you've taken off the speaker output. And they're just getting blended in in that extra little speaker, you know. And if you're playing live, you'll kind of probably have to mic both, you know, a couple microphones. Just tell the sound person, like, just that's not supposed to be as loud as the other one, you know, because it's just got effects coming out of it. So you kind of need to explain that sometime. There's just going to be a little echo coming out of it and stuff. So don't turn it up super loud in the PA, because you're looking at the meter. That one looks really quiet. Maybe I should turn it way up. All of a sudden you got tons of delay in the PA and nothing else. You just have to be aware of that. But it's a way to do a simple lo-fi wet dry rig, really. That's how you do it, man. There's no other way to patch it in, though, other than a reload or something, which is really not that big of a deal. I got one sitting right here. I put the rack ears on it. I mean, you could get a little 2-space rack thing. You could even use a rack mount 1-space effect of some sort, you know, for your delay reverb, and have it all in a little 3-space thing or something. Just bring that along, have it all patched in, and it's one little extra thing to carry, you know. But you might already have the stuff you need. A lot of people don't have a line out box. You might have to find that. Just get something, the Sir one, or maybe there's other companies that make them and stuff, I think. But you probably got everything else you need, the effects and maybe a little combo amp lying around. There's a way to do it for super cheap, you know, whatever the line out box costs you, $50 or $80 or whatever they are, and be done with it. What is the humbucker P90 in the bridge position? On my guitar, you mean? That's this guy. It's a new PT90 pickup. So it's basically a P90, but in a humbucker housing that we did for my signature guitar here. And I love it. It sounds great. Big, fat, single coil. Ballsy. You know, I wanted to kind of like do a Strat style guitar, but with a P90 in the bridge, basically, because that's always the weak link, is the Strat bridge pickup always seems to be the compromise, where it's like, oh, it's never quite got the nuts of the, you know, if you're used to, especially playing a humbucker in the bridge, like I am a lot, but sometimes you like a single coil sound, but you go to it and it's always a little piercing because of the angle on the Strat pickup, and it, you know, they're only so hot. It's like P90, you can get a nice 8K thing going, still vintage, but it's like it's got some punch and a little darker and a little, you know, and I'm addicted to it. It sounds great. I play the guitar all the time now. Yeah. Do you think the Sterling headphones, you would have it also be good for doing studio mixes on? Yeah, I mean, I can't super vouch for them for being, like, I've only used them for just not critical listening around here and stuff, but I went to them after my other ones had died. They actually seem more sort of hi-fi and flatter than something like the 50 from the M50s from Audio-Technica. These seem more like a balanced studio kind of sound. Like, they remind me a bit of the CB1s. I don't know if I like them quite as much as those CB1s that I had, but they're good, and you can get them. Those other ones you can't get, and they're way sturdier than the CB1s. So, yeah, there's Paul. Just enjoying the show. Thanks, man. Appreciate you taking the time and sharing your knowledge. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you, man. And I appreciate the super chat. Yep. 140K is epic. How did it feel to play in front of that many people? Must have been a goosebumpy moment. It was amazing because it was certainly the biggest crowd I'd ever, you know, way bigger than anything I'd experienced up till then. It was 2004, so I wasn't that old like I am now, 21 years ago. But it was nerve-wracking at first. We were also touring kind of low budget then, so I didn't have, like, I mean, whatever my rig wasn't fancy. It was probably a rented Marshall and a little pedal board or something like that. And I remember having a rented Ovation. It might have been, it wasn't a nylon, I think it was a steel. I had to play this song called La Flor de Frio. And I played it on that Ovation. It was kind of a shit guitar. Like, I remember it was just sort of not set up well. I mean, we were in Colombia. It's like, what are you going to get? You don't know from backline company. It could be anything. So it was not a great guitar. So I remember having that and being a little stressed out before the gig about that and stuff like that. And anyway, my memory of the gig, my main memory, is that we got on stage and Draco, who I was playing with at the time, Draco Rosa, came out and just started jamming. So there was just a little anxiety before the show because so many people and everything. We get on a stage and he just starts jamming some riff, and it wasn't the riff from the first song that we were playing or whatever. He went out, grabbed his guitar, and just started playing, and it was like, what is he doing? And he playing, he's just like walking around, you know, and then he looked at Toss, the drummer. He goes, well, you gonna come in or what? And Toss is like, and he's an amazing drummer. He came in, he started playing, just doing something super musical, and they started jamming, and then we all fell in. And it took me out of the, because instantly we're just like, oh, what's he doing? Like, and it was like, so you don't have a fear level now or like a anxiety or anything like that. It was like, what the heck's going on? And then it was like, oh, let me find something complimentary to play to that. And it was like, I went right into that mode, and we just jammed on this riff for like 2 minutes. and did something. And then he goes, all right, let's go. Like, and he was calling the first song of the set then. And he didn't tell anybody he was going to do that. But I don't know if this was on his mind, but I always took it as he was throwing us off of our game, which by game, I mean our anxiety in the moment, and making us shift gears all of a sudden to both get like, just made us get comfortable with the sound of the stage and the crowd and everything. Because we just did something musical that was like not, he kind of just went like this to us. And then when we started the first song, I just remember being so comfortable and going like, that was so cool. And I really learned something in that moment. Like about, it kind of reminded me of like Tom Petty once, when I only saw Tom Petty play live once. And he walked out on stage. It was at LA Forum. And I remember he walked up to the microphone. He goes, hey, baby. And I went like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. He just called the whole stadium baby, or the whole arena, right? Hey, baby. And then they kicked into the first song. And I was like, that's so cool. And it just made me think of that a little bit, like where you don't like, you walk out and you're worried, like, what's it going to, like the first song, and it's got to go boom and whoa, and you hype yourself. People don't really care. They just want to see somebody walk out on stage and be confident and, just be cool. And so we were cool, but he kind of made it happen. I learned a lot from that guy, from playing with him, my time with him. And that was sort of the, just make it about you and playing music. And we're here together. We got each other's back, and let's just do something cool and be in the moment and be spontaneous and like be inspired and just, and that's sort of, Latin America, me too. South America is so, the crowds are so great. They don't really care about perfection or they just want honesty. Like they're really, it's such a fun place to play, because you've seen videos of the crowds and they're just going crazy. And if you're a rock fan, you can watch like Rush at Rock in Rio or whatever, and the people all singing all the solos and all the, and they're jumping up and down like going crazy. And it's just like the greatest crowds in the world down there in Colombia and Argentina and Brazil and Chile. It's like super fun down there to play music. And they just have their head in the right place, in their hearts, I should say. Not their head. It's actually their hearts in the right place when it comes to art and music. And, as an uptight Canadian, like I had to go experience some of those things and try and internalize it to get into that vibe, And I guess I still probably battle that a little bit, like wanting everything to be perfect and wanting everything to be, and at the end of the day, it's like more about your attitude. It's why I've embraced folks like Jack White and stuff as my sort of on stage attitude mentors. You know what I mean? Like that kind of just go for it. Nobody really cares. Like if there's, if the stage falls down around you and you're still there standing, it's good. The show's good. People always remember it. It's live, and it's, so I try and embrace that, So anyway, that's what I remember about that particular gig and that many people. And thanks for bringing it up, actually, because it's kind of got that little story or whatever has some value, I think, especially if you're like an uptight person like me. I've gotten less uptight over the years, which is why I can sit here and do this. When I stay in hotels, says my knees hurt, I live out of my suitcase. Nothing is further than 5 feet from my suitcase. And right before checkout, I scan the whole room and pack what I can. That's one way to do it. Yeah. I mean, don't take anything. Yeah. And then if it's super close, sure. That's cool. I know what you mean. Yeah. Taking things out of the suitcase and hanging them in the closet was something that I had to learn is an acceptable thing to do, and probably the best option sometimes if you don't want your clothes all wrinkled. But sometimes I forget and I'd leave things in the closet then. So there's different ways to do things, but I find what works for me is packing the night before. If I got to get up early or relatively early, I don't have a lot of time in the morning, I'll just get out of the way at night. And then I'm dialed in for the morning. And the things that I don't put away, I'm like, remember that. And then it's on my mind when I get up. And yeah. Yeah. What else do we got here? Let's see. Moving down through the chat. Oh, there's a super chat from Todd. Thanks, man. Would be smoking something, but I swear the new Bad Bay JCM800 from Bogren Huge. What is this? Bogren Bad Bay JCM800. I don't know anything about that. Bad Bay JCM800. JCM800. The bad boy is back. I don't see anything about a bad bay, but I can't find anything about that online. Bad bay. I'm sorry, I'm looking though. I just don't see it. I see people talking about their bad boy. Is bad boy back? Bad boy. The bad boy is back. Oh, maybe this is it. There is a YouTube video here that I just found.
Hi.
Hello. This guy made it, I think. He looks like a legit dude that's got a bunch of Marshalls. We've got a bunch of JCM800s. I don't see a plug-in here, though. Bogren Digital Products. Is that what we're talking about? Amp knob BDM bundle. Bad boy. Oh, I see here. Okay. Some amps. BDM 75, BDM 800 lead knob. Bogren Digital. I'll have to check it out. I don't know anything about this this guy. Where is he? In Germany or in Netherlands or something? Looks like he's got models of 5150s, Mesas, SVTs, all the good stuff. These guys look like metal dudes. They look serious. They look like serious European metal dudes on this website. I bet they're very good at what they do. Should check it out sometime. Todd suggesting twisted Telly pickups, hotter than PF, but very warm and powerful. Thanks again, Todd, for that. The other Todd Huffman there for that super chat. Appreciate that. It's about 2. I'm going to split in a sec because I got to get a bunch of stuff done today. Wanting to pay for your coffee date. You're too kind. Thanks for all the knowledge that you share. That's from Campus Renthouse. Thanks for your super chat. You're too kind. Too kind. Too kind. Yes, the Scott Henderson method. That's right, that I described earlier of wet dry. Easy wet dry. Do you ever experiment with reamping after you've recorded a guitar track? Just a little bit. I don't really do that a lot. And I've only done a couple sessions with producers where they wanted to do that. They'll take a DI and print it, and then they can reamp later, But I like to commit to things like a little more like the, Led Zeppelin or Van Halen school of like whatever went down, that's the sound that's printed. And, it seems like I'm making extra work for myself if I do record the DI and then whatever later thing, but I guess it's kind of cool to have that safety. If you've got a way to do that efficiently, and if you're really not sure that you want to commit to a sound, or if you're like, well, I'm at the studio and they've only got these few amps or whatever, but I know that this is going to sound great through my whatever amp back when I get into my space later, not my space, but into my studio. You know what I mean? Then maybe you do it like then print the DI and stuff, and then you can always come back and reamp, dial it in. If you don't have time, like to do things, maybe you go to your drummer's. That'd be a good reason to do it. Like go to the drummer's house to record, because everybody's got their own studios now, and the drummer's got his setup with all his mics, and he doesn't want to go anywhere else and everything. Go there and record some stuff, print a DI guitar track if you get a good basic, and then maybe you can just reamp. So there's reasons. But it's not something I do on the regular. Yeah. Arthur says my Steve Stevens Nags is a heavy guitar with tone for days. Yes, I was talking a little bit earlier about weight, and yeah, my Nags is heavy too, but it's got a great tone. You're not wrong. It's my hot rod Les Paul. I consider it my hot 14K rock machine. I've got a sparkle red one back there, and it is a really, really good guitar. That is great for a certain, I'm playing hard rock or whatever. I did the even though Mick didn't even use a Les Paul style guitar, I don't think, but the Dr. Feelgood that I recreated for the Jose amp, that it was a mix as well as Richard Fortis's amp. I used the Nags on that because I was like, this is going to be the right guitar for this tone. Like this guitar tuned down a whole step to D through that amp and playing that song is going to sound killer. And it did, I think. I love the sound on that video. Just rock machine. I put those Rebel Yell pickups in my Les Paul the other day, monster sounding. Yeah, they're really good. They're hot and beefy and great rock pickup. Thoughts on EMGs in a Les Paul? Never done it. I've only got one guitar with EMGs, and I do kind of like it, but I don't have any perspective, to be honest, on a set of, it's just never kind of the thing. It always seemed kind of a metal thing to do, and I was more rock, AC/DC and stuff, and I just couldn't see guys like that doing something like that. It's weird. My thinking about active pickups, EMGs and stuff was like studio guy LA with the kind of, the standard output humbucker one and the two SAs, or Metallica, two of them in a flying V or something, or that kind of, or maybe Kirk with a Les Paul ESP thing or something like that. That was always my, there was no Van Halen or AC/DC going on, although Van Halen did use them in a Steinberger. That's true. So there you have it. I'm always wrong about something, aren't I? What's the difference between a P90 and a single coil? Well, nothing. I mean, they're both single coils, so technically they're both single coil pickups. Just a P90 is a hot, big ass single coil, just big single coil. So a Strat style single coil is just kind of the generally 6K, 6.5 tops. A P90 can be 8K, 9K. It's beefier, a little darker, mid-range punch. Just a little bit more barky rock machine than a Strat bridge pickup, which is always going to be a little thinner and stuff. Just, a Telly is somewhere probably in the middle, I guess, like a good, I mean, not all of them. There's some, lower output ones, but a good early Telly broadcaster pickup is a pretty big barky single coil as well. They can be fairly high output, the early 50s ones. Yeah. It was the original high output single coil. Yeah. Yeah. Bigger bobbin. 100%. Yeah. I replaced the bare knuckles in my Nags. Didn't like them. Felt they were limited. To put in Jim Wagner in there, and now I can get everything Strat to metal. Yeah, it's going to be, Wagners are probably a little more vintagey. Sure. Were you in Robbie Draco Rosa's band with Toss? Yeah. Did like 2002 or 3 through 2005. About 2.5 years. Did some gigs in the US, but it was mostly South America, Spain, France, England. When Robbie did his Mad Love album, and then the one after that I'm not going to remember the name of, I think it was around for that one, but mainly it was the Mad Love era of kind of when he was doing that. It was a great record, actually. It was like really cool. He kind of gravitated away from, it was his, crossover English album, I think, because he's mainly Spanish language artist. At least that's what he's become. But, he wrote great songs in English too. So there's some Spanish songs, some English songs. And, for various reasons, it didn't end up blowing up, but it didn't matter. He's a great artist. I'm sure he would have loved for it to. I think Sony had high hopes that it was going to be this huge thing, because he had a history working with Ricky Martin and co-wrote, Livin' La Vida Loca and all that, and it's huge songs, She Bangs and stuff. He was a part of all of that. And then they signed him as a solo artist, and then came out the record, and it was just for various, not his fault or not, whatever, expectations placed on him, and then his idea of what he wanted to do was problematic. Let's say that. But we ended up touring a lot, no matter what. Didn't quite go the way I think anybody thought it was going to go. I thought it might just fall apart completely, and then I would be out of a job like relatively quickly. That didn't happen. I ended up doing 2 years of touring. It was just a little bit more DIY style touring, but we did some amazing stuff, and I had a lot of fun, and I've got great respect for him as an artist. He's about as true as it gets. He's definitely into he's in it for the right reasons, and his fans adore him. I've never played an Ovation that I liked. That's Richard saying, not me. I've liked many Ovations. Melissa Etheridge, of course, big Ovation endorser, user for many years. And, I played hers, and she always made them sound great. And I've got respect for them. I think they could be pretty cool, actually. Of course, Bon Jovi. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm a cowboy. What else? What else we got here? What else we got? Let's see. I got to go soon, but I'm having fun, so just going to do a couple more comments, questions here. When making a tone catch in Ampero 2, what is the proper volume of the amp to get a good volume in my profile? You're getting low volume profiles. That's a question for them because I haven't actually tried it. I do have one here and I need to get into it at some point when I have a minute and try it. But if your profiles are low volume, just try experimenting, doing a capture again and cranking it up. Or maybe people amp them up afterwards, you know. But sometimes like it seems to be with like the quad cortex that it doesn't really correlate. Like you can do the, you know, you can be at like maximum of -14 or something, or it can be -9 or whatever when you're watching it, you know, the level meters or whatever before you do the capture, and you make the capture and they come out the same, like it almost normalizes or something, it seems like. Maybe. So I don't know if it's like that or not because I haven't actually used the Ampero, but I would just suggest that the process would then be to try one 5 dB hotter or something like that. You know, are you, it also depends if you're capturing a cabinet, you know, if you're trying to capture the microphone speaker, you know, then do you turn up the mic pre? Do you actually turn up the amp through the cabinet and actually make it louder? Or, you know, and you can experiment with all that stuff. Or if you're doing a direct capture via load box, it probably, you know, it won't matter as much. Get the amp into the zone where it sounds really exactly like you want it with the master volume and all that, where you know it's like, yeah, I like the master at 7. It sounds amazing there, or at 6 or whatever, but not higher. Well, don't turn it up then for the sake of getting it louder. Turn up the output of your load box. You know, it's got a line. Most of them have a line out. To go into the Ampero and try it a little hotter, you know, just make sure you're not getting any clipping once you make the capture and all that. So yeah. Oh, here's another recommendation as far as headphone goes. This is another studio standard, the K240 AKG studio headphones. I like those. Never owned a pair. They weren't kind of my favorites, but they're very popular. So, you know, yeah, I guess you'd see the AKG 240s, 7506s, or the M50s from Audio Technica. Those would be really common 3 headphones that you'd see for the last 30 years or something in a lot of studios, right? Have you ever played the Blue Guitar amp pedal? The original one, I've never played it, but I've played with Thomas a little bit and heard him using it on gigs that I've like where I've actually played with him on some stuff, and he was using it. I thought it seemed really impressive. Yeah. Did you see the Go-Go's Coachella set? I did. The epic things I've ever seen. Can't even imagine the production budget, how long it took to rehearse in that scale. I mean, it's kind of Go-Go's up there playing on they were playing in like late afternoon or whatever, right? Weren't they? I mean, it wasn't like a crazy, do you mean it was like big production or something? Or do you just mean the set was cool? I saw Billy play with them, Billy Joe, and I thought he was great. I love the Go-Go's. So, always loved the Go-Go's when I was a kid. I was of that age when I was like, 11 years old or something when the Go-Go's came out, and they were like the hottest thing. It was like so cool. You know, when you're like a boy watching these girls up there playing these sort of pop punk songs. They were do anybody watch the Go-Go's documentary? It's really good. Watch the Go-Go's documentary. I don't know if it's on Netflix or I can't remember, but just it came out a year or two ago. I really enjoyed it. I like them. And I always had a big crush on Kathy Valentine. So she was, I was like, yeah, that was my, anyway, enough about that. She's still super active doing stuff musically and stuff. And she's out there in the world making music as it should be. And I love Jane too. She's awesome. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Zakk Wylde EMGs 81 and 85 with a Les Paul. Mick Mars' first album, Les Paul. Really? EMGs? Mick Mars' solo album or Les Paul? You don't mean Mick Mars used EMGs, right? Because I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Could be. What is it like knowing and working with Eddie Van Halen? I'm very grateful you're answering my new beginner questions. I mean, I loved Ed. I can't say. I mean, we did work a little bit together, you know, on on something or a couple different things. And he was definitely involved in the demo videos I did of the EVH products. So when you see the chorus video or the EVH 5150 overdrive video, both of them, I did 2 different versions. You know, those were taken to him and shown, and he made suggestions and things like that. And so that was really cool. But he was always so nice and complimentary towards me and really, really supportive. But you know, he's Eddie. Eddie was he was a complicated guy, I think, but I got along with him really well, and I think I don't know, I feel like it was mutual, you know, that we liked one another, and that he was you know, I can't claim like I was, you know, best friends with this guy or something, but I did have a good relationship with him for the last 10 years of his life, and always was good with him. And had some really fun. I have great memories of, you know, some hangs and stuff like that, and that he was always really supportive and you know, like in a great place in his life when I met him. I think, you know, even though he suffered a lot too through those years, you know, all kinds of issues. I would just say, knowing, like, I mean, some of the things, I was always very concerned about him because he dealt with a lot of health issues and stuff over the years and was fighting, but he's a real fighter. And a very intelligent guy, sort of in a street smart way, but like was able to absorb intelligence or like not absorb knowledge, I should say, not intelligence, absorb knowledge about things. And, you know, you could tell him something and he would, like, if he had a question or something, you know, he didn't like to be told things, actually. He liked to ask questions. And then, like, that was one thing about him, you know, it wasn't like, oh, you've got to check this out. I would never say that to him. Have you ever checked it? You got to try this thing like that. I don't feel like that was he liked to come across things his own way. Or sometimes he would ask me, like, hey, I watched a video of you with this piece of gear. Like, what do you think of that thing? And then I'd feel comfortable talking about it. But I never felt like I wanted to, like, you know what I mean? Because he's Eddie Van Halen. I don't know. It was just a unique kind of situation. I always wanted to keep it good. That's one thing about it. I always wanted to keep it good. So did I feel like I could always be 100%, like, just say whatever was on my mind? No, not really, you know, because I think that in general with folks at that level, and they've become this world famous, you know, there's like, you have to pay a certain amount of notice to the fact that, like, I don't know, like, I just don't want to, I won't go too much more into it, but it's just like, I always wanted that relationship to be good. So I would avoid subjects or avoid pissing him off. Let's just say, you know, I never wanted to antagonize him or make him uncomfortable or ask him things or tell him things that were, you know, so I kept it kind of trying to stand above it and go, would he want to talk about this? Or would he like this question? You kind of have to do that sometimes. A little bit like you do with, probably your boss or something. Not that he was my boss, but it was just when you want to keep a relationship, you know what I mean, and never have it. My reason with him was like, I never want this to go south, because that would be devastating for me. If I ever said anything to offend him or something, then it was like, you're done, sort of thing. Like, you're not gonna, because there's probably that possibility there. So I never wanted to do that. I was always careful and just try to be respectful of the things that I think he would, because he's meant a lot to me, you know, as a musician, guitar player, whatever, growing up, and I just never wanted that to get screwed up. So, and that wasn't that hard to do, you know. And then sort of working within those boundaries or whatever, I had always great time talking with him. And you know, there's John with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Thank you. Peter, another Killer Sunday show. Videos this week. Thanks, Peter, for always being here and always supporting the Coffee Fund. I really appreciate you. Videos this week. So I've got videos for some Valbrook pedals coming. And I've got Royal, it's called the Royal Flash or Flush, Royal Flush from VS. That's on the desk right here. It's a dual overdrive with 2 different sounding sides. I'm going to finish that up a little bit later today. So those 2 videos are just about done and ready to come out. I'm going to get to the Solar Chug tuner and EQ in short order here over the next 2 weeks, those I've got a Karsten's amp, something new from another amp company, something new from another amp company after that. That'll be a little bit behind that. Ethos preamp. I've got here the Ethos Deluxe. The Venus. This is a recreation of the tube driver. So this is from Crazy Tube Circuits. So Venus for Venus Isle, I think. Eric Johnson. These two guys. This is from Harby. So we got a chorus and a screamer here. Really unique design on the box. I love the boxes and the knobs and stuff. It's cool looking. That's most of it. Head rush. Right? Flex Prime. There it is. Gotta get that done too. So I got my work cut out for me because I gotta leave in about 2.5 weeks. So I'm gonna be in here a lot, just cranking. And I gotta work on music too for tour. So, ooh boy, I better go. That means I better go. With that, make sure. Oh, I got super chats there I missed. Sorry. That was Peter's. Here's one from. Thank you again, Peter. Philip, Coffee Fun, and thank you. Kathy Valentine was and still is badass. Totally badass. Totally cool. Heard more than one awesome cover of Vacation. Vacation, all I ever wanted. Vacation, get away. Good stuff. I love the Go-Go's. They were so badass. How about the B section in Our Lips Are Sealed? It doesn't matter what they say. Hey, Our Lips Are Sealed. Oh my God. The chords in that, which was supposedly, I think, maybe it was Charlotte that wrote that. I can't remember if it was Charlotte or Jane. But in the documentary, they talk about it and how she wasn't really didn't really know music theory or anything like that. But it's such a cool B section into the chorus, and then it's just like hit. I wish I knew it. Let's see if I can figure it out. So is that it? I'll have to see I've almost got it. I can't think of it right now. I almost had it there, but you guys know what I'm talking about. What is that chord? It goes back to the 1/4. So I can't remember. Can you? Shit! I almost want to go listen to it and screw up my All right. Before I go, I'm gonna do this. It's the end of the show. It's 2 hours in. Anybody watching will give me permission to just do this for 2 seconds. Hold on. I'm gonna figure this out because it's so good. I love cool twists, and it's part of what I hate in so many different keys it in. Let's see here. But part of what I hate in a lot of modern stuff is that they don't do this. Okay, it's in A flat on here. It's probably VSO on there, which means they sped up the tape. Go forward. One sec. Huh? Okay, one more time. Almost got it. Okay. What they say. So the song is Can you hear them talk about us? That's a surprise. Right? And then it does that one more time. And then it goes, doesn't matter what they say. Our lips are sealed. I love that shit. Like, I would never think of that. And so if we're in A flat, it's A flat, F sharp, C sharp. And you hear them, you talk about us, you telling lies, well, that's a surprise. When you go down, right through them. Down, down, down. Back to the 1/4 for the chorus. Oh, that's a B section. That's a B section. All you really need is 3 chords if you got that B section. It's like, because 3 chords plus that is like, and then with the vocal melody, oh, what a great song. So anyways, it's just cool, and how they, I don't know, I'd love to be like, yeah, I just played the chords and sang the part. Like, how did you come up with that? It's a really cool B section where it just lifts in a magic way. I could just, any A&R guy must have heard that and just been like, oh, that's a hit. When they say, we don't hear a hit, it's like they heard that and went, that is a hit. Lauren says, I love that you love that song. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I was a big Go-Go fan. I was like totally into it. Like back, I thought these girls are great, and they were trailblazers, like total groundbreaking. Okay, thanks for bearing with me on that, and let me learn that. Have a awesome week, and be nice to one another. And thanks for the super chats and keeping the coffee flowing. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.